first conversations you have are always about what makes something feel like Star Wars.
This is the most massive production I've ever worked on.
They've outdone themselves in terms of the sets. It makes me feel like I'm on another planet.
Every other day we're in a new, incredible location. Croatia was the perfect place to shoot Canto Bight. We're in this alleyway in Dubrovnik, smashing speeders. It was just one of those, oh my gosh, what are we doing? This is amazing moments. The other big new world is Crete. We shot in Bolivia on the salt flats.
It's got this red mineral covered with salt flakes that gives it sort of a white blank canvas.
What would a battle on a planet like that look like?
We would be back on Skellig shooting 8.
Here we go, Raj.
Feels really nice to put Luke Skywalker in front of a camera. And turn. Woo, Lord. Cut.
Cover.
You've never seen anything like this. There's just this magical feeling that you get, and you're transported to another world.
We're working in pretty high places, dangerous places. I think it's worth it because everything is gorgeous.
Hey everybody, happy Star Wars week. So they're releasing some more behind the scenes featurettes, and there were a couple important places in the Star Wars universe that I wanted to talk about before I started doing all my review and spoilery videos. So no worries, this video isn't going to have any spoilers for The Last Jedi. It's just going to cover stuff that Lucasfilm has announced publicly. But if you are finding me for the first time, obviously there's going to be a crazy amount of Star Wars dropping this week, so be sure to subscribe to get everything. I'm even giving away IMAX gift certificates. I'll explain at the end of the video. We've already talked about the 3 big new characters. Rian Johnson said that even though there are more creatures than were in The Force Awakens and Rogue One combined in The Last Jedi, there are really only 3 big new characters that the story follows. The rest of those hundreds and hundreds of creatures are just people that you'll see in the background. So in that same vein, even though there are a lot of new places teased in The Last Jedi, there are really only 2 big new locations, and that's Canto Bight, the casino planet that you see in this, that looks very familiar. We'll talk about that in a second. But then also the salt planet Crate, which is being used as a resistance base. The other sort of side reason for making this video was to start teeing up the idea of the unknown regions, which is pretty much where Rian Johnson's new trilogy is going to be set, this mysterious place where a lot of important people and things have happened in the Star Wars universe, but not something that we've gotten a lot of information about. But by his explanation, you can see the very clear visual reason why they chose to have a lot of the battles on a salt planet, because it looks like the planet bleeds when people walk or fly across it. So it becomes this wonderful visual metaphor for what's happening during the battle. Everyone is killing each other, they're bleeding, the planet looks like it's bleeding, so it just evokes this crazy imagery. And as we've talked about before, the color red is probably the most important color in this movie. It recurs all over the place in many different locations, particularly inside Snoke's throne room, and it's sort of the de facto color of Dark Jedi, Sith, evil Force users as you would think about them. So as you watch the movie, just think about the idea of color red, what you know about that in the Star Wars universe, and what that says about each of the characters throughout their journeys. For those of you having deja vu when you're watching this Canto Bight stuff, obviously they had that little chyron that reads Dubrovnik. That's where they shot most of the King's Landing scenes for Game of Thrones. So here's a challenge for you when you go to see the movie. When you're watching all these Canto Bight scenes, if you're a big Game of Thrones fan, just try to see if you can spot any familiar locations from particular episodes. But obviously a lot of the interiors are going to be different just because you have this futuristic society that's built in this really old-looking place, which is one of the core operating design principles of Star Wars. Very worn-out, dirty-looking galaxy with very advanced technology. So obviously there's a lot of other stuff going on in these Canto Bight scenes, but we don't want to get into spoilers yet. But just from a design perspective, just try to spot all the Game of Thrones stuff when you're watching this. So looking at the map here, let's talk about the unknown regions a little bit, because we got a bit of a teaser for them after The Force Awakens. They revealed that that's where the First Order came from, that's where Snoke came from, we know that's where Admiral Thrawn is from, and we've now learned that Disneyland is building a special city for Star Wars Land that you'll actually be able to go visit with your family that's set in the unknown regions. So everything about the future of Star Wars is tied to the unknown regions. It's implied that that's where Rian Johnson's new trilogy is going to take place, all new characters, things that we've never seen before, which when you think about the idea of the unknown regions and what might be in there, makes a lot of sense. Because they're trying to get away from mining a lot of the original trilogy and just pumping that well dry, going back to the old characters every single time. It's a real recipe for Star Wars to get stale. The first time we heard about them was Heir to the Empire, which was the introduction of the Thrawn character. And there's actually a lot of new Thrawn novels that are going to be released. Timothy Zahn is actually working on a new one that's coming up. So if you're a big fan of that character and you watched him on Rebels, you'll get more Thrawn through the expanded material. But after The Force Awakens came out, they started releasing a bunch of material explaining what happened after the Battle of Endor. Battlefront 2 just introduced the idea of the Emperor's Project Resurrection. So obviously Palpatine is somebody that had a lot of contingency plans. He had a lot of secret stashes and caches of weapons and dark side artifacts. So part of the idea is that after the Battle of Endor, the actual destruction of the Empire, like the final battle where they really crumbled and then slunk off to the unknown regions, was the Battle of Jakku. So I've already talked about that in a couple videos, but one of the Emperor's secret caches of weapons, super weapons, was on Jakku. The Imperial generals that were left were going to use it to destroy what was left of the rebellion before they became the New Republic. That went sideways. One of the Imperial sub-commanders, a woman, took command and they went off into the unknown regions using special information that was obtained by Palpatine through all his mapping missions. So there was actually a great period of time where Admiral Thrawn was tasked with mapping the unknown regions because everybody knows where the borders are, but for some reason over the last couple thousand years, nobody has actually been able to map the unknown regions. So it's just this vast region of planets that Emperor Palpatine believes holds the secret origin of the dark side of the Force. So he has one of his acolytes, Yupe Tashu, who wants to go there to find that. Once the remnants of the Empire set up base inside one of the planets within the unknown regions, they become the First Order, they rebuild, they build the Starkiller base there, and they come back in force with Snoke in tow. So it's implied that this is where Snoke comes from. And obviously there's a couple things that we have to wait to talk about his character till the movie actually comes out, because I don't think it's a spoiler to say that The Last Jedi doesn't completely answer all the questions you have about the characters and the mythology. It gives you a couple clues and definitely eliminates some of the bigger, wilder theories, which we'll talk about later this week when I start doing spoilery videos. But because a lot of these new Star Wars stories, a lot of their merchandising, and the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars that they're pumping into Star Wars land at Disneyland is focused on the unknown regions, just start focusing most of your theories about the future of the Star Wars universe on this area. So if you want to learn more about that, obviously go see The Last Jedi this week, but then start reading the expanded material and dig into the Thrawn stuff that they've been publishing since the new movie started coming out. For those of you asking about the review videos, I'm allowed to post my review Tuesday morning, so you won't have to wait that long to find out what I thought of the movie, but leave all your bonus video requests in the comments below. There's a lot of new lore that we'll talk about later this week when I do get to spoilers, so don't worry, we'll talk about Snoke, we'll talk about Rey's parents, we'll talk about the future of Luke Skywalker. It's going to be great, so make sure you go see the movie this weekend. And there is a new round of that ticket giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a Star Wars related comment on the video. Congratulations to the winner from my last video, Battle Mode Bainbridge. Please private message me so I can get your contact details. I'll announce a new winner when I post that new Star Wars video tomorrow. But you can click here for the last big trailer, and you can click here to learn all about Titans in the Arrowverse. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.